Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there.
Boy, she sounds perky for having been sound asleep a few minutes ago.
I wasn't exactly asleep, guys.
Well, tried to get asleep.
Yeah.
You know, sleep has been eluding so many people for so long. But I will get to the point because there's those that just want the point.
Yes.
You know, and I know it's not the majority of you guys that have been with us for so long through all the events. But then there's people that just come in and all they want is the news. They don't want to know anything. They don't care about who people are. They don't care about anything. They just want to know, well, what's up?
Yep. Well, maybe they just don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, exactly. So when we look at, and this is the plague upon the land, China, 96,310. I remember when we were like 10 months ago, and they were at like 80-something thousand. Hasn't barely budged. We know numbers can be played with. We don't believe any of the numbers that we see. We don't trust anything anymore. How could you possibly trust anything that comes out of any system on this planet? It's just something that would be foolish to trust. Yet, when you look at 96,000 cases from the point of origin of the plague upon the land, and you look at the U.S., 21 million cases, what does it make you think of? Well, for me, it takes me over to General Ji Haoxian, who in 2005 had said that, well, if there was going to be an engagement with the West, and we had to, and one of the preconditions was that China would have a population of 1.3 billion people, which they have. At that point, they would have to say, well, you know, it sounds horrible, but we got to get our own population down to half of that in order to be sustainable. Or we're going to have to control the food production areas of Australia, Canada, or the United States, or all of the above, or any combination of the three. Well, how would we do that? Well, we wouldn't start out with a direct confrontation. What we would do is what we've been spending our money on, and that is introduce some sort of biological element to the mix to soften things up, to make it easier for a Red Dawn scenario. And they even said that while the United States is building aircraft carriers at billions of dollars each, they're spending their money on biologicals to understand how could they hit a country in a way that the country wouldn't even realize that it was hit.
And not shed any real blood, so to speak.
Yeah, and so many people are realizing that this is exactly what's happening. Yet also realize, guys, pull yourself out of the mix, that every move that's being made by both the left and the right are moves that are being directed from a source that you don't even know. Most people don't know. 99.99% of the population doesn't know. And that source is actually not even human.
Exactly.
You could call it Satan.
Yep.
You could call it the Great Dragon. It's the Dragon of Revelations, for it is. It's also what we would call the Draco, or the reptilian influence. It also has an AI, non-human, artificial intelligent aspect to it.
And they work together. I've seen them. The way they work together is so diabolical.
There's an old group called Testament, which I love. And it's been one of my favorite groups going back 30-something years. And these are, it's a group of hard rock and Native Americans who know the whole story. You know, their music's been about this for 30 years plus. They understand the whole story. They understand why the Native American population has been targeted. Not just the Native American population, but indigenous people across the globe. They understand why it's okay and it's actually good to go burn the witch. And why there were the witch hunts. Because these were the people that understood the bigger picture. These were the people that also understood how to heal somebody with energy work and herbs.
Yeah, they did. And they didn't make themselves as sick as we do now because all the food that we eat, the chemicals we're exposed to.
They also understood that there are nature spirits out there. There's an elemental aspect to this world that we find ourselves in. As this world is compromised of the four elements with ether, they understood all that. People that were in touch with the divine feminine. That's why the divine feminine has been completely destroyed and obliterated and ignored.
Completely.
This is all part of the bigger picture. Yet at the same time, we do have this reality that we're facing. And if you're living in the United States, or if you're living in a NATO country or an ally to the United States, go check DEAGEL.com, because that will give you the perspective on what is planned to happen.
It will, and it's kind of sobering.
Oh, sobering's not even the word. Knowing this stuff is tough to bear when you know exactly what's coming and pretty much how it's going to go down. You don't know all the details, which we're seeing the details happen. It's very sobering. Very, very, very sobering. And, we're watching the Peach State. And I love the South. I love Georgia. I love the Carolinas. I love Florida. I love everything about the South. And we're watching another situation that's going to be very... Well, it's going to be very disheartening for so many people. And others are going to view it as a great victory. But in reality, it's all part of the bigger plan. So we see this tweeted here. And this is from George News. Yet, it's actually from the White House. And when we read through this, it's an executive order from today. And it's talking about a certain country. It's talking about certain influences in the proceedings of our own United States. And it's signed by the current president today. Many have taken that this is the actual Insurrection Act being put into effect.
It sure is.
Yeah, and we've known this is coming, and we've told you guys about this. If there is any sort of outside influence in the proceedings of the elections of the United States, as far as the elections of officials, such as the president himself or senators, and there's any sort of influence from outside entities that can be proven, in which, of course, certain parties will say there's absolutely no proof. And they would be saying that even if, the proof smacked them right in the face. And the bottom line is because certain entities are controlled by that outside influence. And this is all going to be disclosed over the coming days and weeks. And it's going to shock everyone to the extent of the control. But again, this is not a world that is truly divided by the boundaries of nations. This is a world that's controlled by corporate interests. Corporations controlling and manipulating everything. We have our very definition of fascism. It's when the corporations and the state are one, when everything is controlled through that merger of the corporations, the major corporations, with the political identity of the state. That's fascism. And that's what we do have.
Yes, indeed.
She is of so little words here. So, guys, executive orders, very interesting and stuff to be paid attention to. Every administration has had many of them, including the Obama administration, and so many of these executive orders have just stripped away the foundations of what this country was founded on. And, well, basically, in order to serve the greater good, or at least that's what is portrayed. But is it really what happens? Ultimately, what's going to happen is what we've been saying. Disintegration and strife, brother against brother. The Civil War was a horrible thing where literally family members were on opposite sides shooting at each other. And that can be what we will see in just the very near future.
You know, I'm watching things go down, and it's going to happen very, very soon, and I think sooner than a lot of people are prepared for.
What we have to do is recognize that all of this is controlled. All of this is planned. Every little aspect of this is planned. If you guys are into watching a great drama, well, the best dramas pull us in to the point where we forget we're even watching a story. We're so pulled into it. We identify ourselves with some of the characters. We come to identify ourselves as one of the characters, to the point where we are so emotionally involved in the whole thing. Maybe we're ready to just go grab a gun off the rack and go do something that's crazy.
I mean, yeah, people do that. It's sad.
It is sad. But that's what we are facing right now. Thank you guys for being part of this family. Thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Be prepared. Just keep sending out the positive vibes. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.